guys, and welcome to a new episode of Brave Dog Training Online. I'm Anita, I'm your host and a professional dog trainer, and today we're gonna talk about why a puppy class should always be monitored very closely and by a trained professional. So stay tuned and have fun. Alright, so maybe this strikes you as a little bit weird, because shouldn't every dog training class be held by a professional who has a lot of training and education and all that great stuff? Well, yes, but very often, at least here, it happens that even dog owners are asked to lead a puppy class. And that's actually something that can traumatize a puppy very, very badly. Well, not the person who's leading the class, but what happens in the class. Because, unfortunately, it still happens that puppies are thrown into a group together, they are let off leash, and they can do whatever they want. And whenever something not so great happens, the trainer says, well, they have to deal with it themselves, or don't help them because they won't get socialized, or they have to go through that, or something like that. And that's very sad, because what happens is sometimes a puppy is just overwhelmed by the situation. It might be a little insecure to begin with, and maybe the group is too big, maybe the puppy is a very small puppy and has never seen such big dogs before, because the only contact to other dogs were the litter mates and the mom, and they weren't big as well. So this is kind of a cultural shock. So, of course, the puppy is a little bit frightened. And what should be done is the puppy should be taken aside and allowed to watch the scene and get accustomed to the surroundings and get used to all this in his own time and with enough space to the other dogs so he can feel comfortable. And whenever another puppy is introduced to the fearful puppy, it should be one puppy at a time, and very slowly, very carefully. And as soon as the puppy shows some signs of discomfort or fear, it should be taken out of the situation. And that's how a puppy will learn that nothing bad happens and that the mommy is always there to help. And yes, it will still get socialized. But socialization can never happen when there is fear or overwhelm involved. That's just not possible. And another thing that happens very often in unsupervised or not well supervised puppy classes is mobbing. So either one-on-one, one puppy is mobbing the other puppy, or even in groups. So a group of puppies is going against a single one. And that's physically no problem, because the puppy will not get hurt. A different thing happens when they are hunted. Then they can get hurt. But with mobbing, they will not get hurt physically, but mentally, it's absolutely catastrophic. And whenever there is something like mobbing happening, and it's happening even in very nicely held puppy classes, both dogs should be taken out of the situation, but positively. So there is no punishment for the mobbing dog, and it's, of course, no punishment for the victim. But it's so important that both dogs get something positive out of it, because a dog who mobs other dogs will do that, no matter if he's punished for it or not. If he's punished for it, he will just learn that other dogs mean trouble and bad feelings and hurt and pain and whatever. So this isn't good, of course, and it will not make him more social. So both should be taken apart and in a nice way and do something with the humans. And I've already said that sometimes it happens that one dog hunts another dog. It rarely happens with puppies, but sometimes it happens when adult dogs meet a puppy. There is something wrong with what they see as prey, and they will hunt a puppy, and that's really very, very dangerous, because the end of the hunting chain is eating, and of course we don't want that. So we have to have a very, very close look at every play sequence. It doesn't matter if it's 2 adult dogs, an adult dog and a puppy, or 2 puppies. We have to watch this very closely. And of course, puppies aren't into the whole hunting thing yet, so they will not hunt each other outside of play, of course. Yes, they will just exercise hunting sequences in play, but it's not dangerous, it's not real, it's just play. And that's absolutely okay for both sides. And to really see a good play, you have to watch out for play faces. So very funny faces and goofy facial expressions, very big ones, big movements, and a very soft, curvy movement in the body. Body language is very soft, very playful. There is nothing hectic in there. It's round, it's soft, and it looks like fun for both sides. And for your puppy to be well prepared for the life together with you and your day-to-day life, it's also very important to have exercises in the puppy class that actually are useful. Because very often it's just sit down, heel, no, and all those things. And not only are they not really necessary, but things like a no is counterproductive, and it's never trained nicely, and you don't need it. So yes, it can be helpful for your dog to know what sit means, and of course, if a recall is trained, that's awesome. And for medical training, you even need a down, but that's a whole different situation, and it's a whole different expectations. So, for example, in medical training, you almost never need a down on vocal cue. Never. It's not necessary. And also, most of the time, you will not be standing. You will be either crouched down or sitting next to your dog. So training this from a standing position is absolutely not necessary. And nobody needs a heel. So, except of course for tournaments, and that's not my business, so I won't talk about it. But and just normal day-to-day life, you don't need a heel. You need loose leash walking, yes. But with puppies, they don't really go on walks. So loose leash walking is kind of ridiculous. And sometimes when the puppy is already pulling, yes, there is loose leash walking needed, but most of the time, a few tips and tricks are enough to prevent pulling in the first place. And if your puppy never learns to pull, he will never pull. So, yes, that's easy. Of course, if your puppy is already pulling, then yes, you need loose leash walking. And there's nothing wrong with loose leash walking in a puppy class. But there are some things that are way more important, like muscle training. It might sound weird, but let me paint a picture. Your dog is 3 years old and he is very friendly and he's never even looked funny at a person and everything's fine. You have never needed a muzzle. You're driving in your car. You don't use public transportation where you need a muzzle. You don't use cabs where you need a muzzle. You don't go to vacations at places where you need a muzzle. You don't use any other transportations where you need a muzzle. And as I said, your dog's friendly. So he doesn't know a muzzle. And one day he plays with a good friend and he just missteps somehow and he really hurts himself. And you go to the vet and the vet has to manipulate the hurt paw. And this hurts so badly that your dog cannot keep any hold of himself and he just bites. What happens then? The vet will not have himself get bitten, of course. So he will bind a bandage around your dog's mouth so it's closed. Your dog cannot pant. Your dog does not know what's happening to him. And this is traumatizing. This is really horrible for your dog. And you should watch out that that is never happening to your dog. And you can just prevent that with muscle training and having a muzzle with you. A well-fitting muzzle, of course. Not those cloth thingies that just bind the mouth shut. But, for example, a wire muzzle that fits your dog very well and he can pant and drink and eat and yawn and all those things. And, of course, I have already listed all the things where a muzzle can be needed. So it makes sense to train that with your puppy already. So your puppy knows, alright, this is the fun thing I get to do and this is a game and there's nothing wrong with it. Your puppy will wear the muzzle as nicely as his harness. So no harm done. And another thing, of course, we already talked about the recall. A recall is very important. But not only that, I think something extremely important in a puppy's life to learn is medical training. So your puppy learns a cooperation signal. That just means you're allowed to do stuff to him. And your dog has always the chance to break the cooperation signal, and that's his way of saying no. That gives the dog control over the situation and it will make him a lot more cooperative. So you will have no trouble at all with anything you need to do, like brushing him, clipping his nails, brushing the teeth, or whatever. And if you train that with the vet as well, your puppy will not have a problem at the vet. That's very important. And of course, your puppy should also learn that not every dog is a signal to just run there and play with a dog. Because, first of all, not every dog wants that. And second, there will be a time when your puppy is growing up, and especially when you have a big puppy, where you will not just let him run to every other dog. Because it's just, first, very impolite, and second, sometimes really dangerous. So you will not do that, and therefore you shouldn't let your puppy run to every other dog. Because your puppy will remember that. If your puppy is allowed to play with every other puppy, every other dog, the minute he sees it, your puppy will remember that. And your puppy will not understand why this changes, as soon as he hits puberty. And a puppy class should also take that into consideration. So if there are playtimes, then the puppy should be concentrated on you before starting to play, and the playtimes are only a part of the course, not the whole course, and all those things. So that's very important. And of course, if you're trying to pick the right puppy class, always watch or ask the trainer how he's working, how the puppies are trained. The trainer should know about positive reinforcement and learning and how this works, and should be able to explain to you exactly how he works. And if you see or hear any sign of no and punishment and leash corrections or whatever, walk away. If you don't have a fitting puppy class in your area, then you can just do an online course. Yes, you don't have the dog-on-dog contact in an online course, but you can just get that either from your social circle or you find somebody on social media. It's no problem. For me, I always offer to do video analysis for puppy meetings. So whenever a client asks me to look at a video they made when the puppy was playing with another dog, I'll do that, and this is just part of my service because I think it's very important. And other than that, the exercises and the socialization exercises, so showing your puppy all the new things in his life, are available online as well. So that's a great alternative. Of course, if you need help with that, or if you want your puppy to just grow up into a nice companion who just sees life as this big happy place and does everything with you, go to the description box and book your free call today. Let's see how I can help you with that. I would love to meet you. I would love to talk about your puppy with you. And that's it. See you in the free call. Until then, bye.